Welcome back, Jekyll fam. Today we're going to talk about a video I found. The video is called How Social Media Destroyed Gen Z by Visual Venture. I normally really like Visual Venture's stuff, and he made a video about social media and its effects on Gen Z. I watched a little bit of it and I don't agree with it. So I grew up with social media and kind of the dawn of social media, if you will, being a millennial. I grew up with sites like MySpace and instant messengers, AIM, Yahoo, Instant Messenger, just a bunch of instant messengers, and the beginning of YouTube. And I've been on all of those sites for a really long time, except for, MySpace is no longer really a thing. Got bought by Justin Timberlake and destroyed, so... I used to love MySpace. If you are watching and you are rich, buy MySpace and fix it. Put it back to the way it was. You would absolutely have a market with the millennials. We also had like weird sites like Vampire Freaks, Dark Starlings, Vainspace, just all of these websites trying to make a name for themselves in like that MySpace, Facebook kind of space, and all of them failing. They all failed. You can't find, I don't think any of those still exist. Vampire Freaks is now a clothing company. Dark Starlings is gone. Vainspace is definitely gone. I think Tagged is still around, but don't go on Tagged. I think it's full of very sketchy things. So let's get into this. So Visual Venture makes really good content. If you've never seen Visual Venture, please go check it out. I normally don't disagree with his videos. I actually think his videos are pretty well researched and pretty well informed.
I'm concerned that social media is an important driver of that youth mental health crisis.
42% of Gen Zers said they could not stop using social media if they tried. The most common words they associate with platforms like Facebook and Instagram: depressed, angry, and alone.
His editing is on point, by the way. All right, let's go.
We've all heard people say that Gen Z is addicted to social media, but is this just something people like to claim, or is it really true? And by the way, I'm technically part of Gen Z too, so when I speak to you, I speak to myself.
Before he gets into too many things, it's not just Gen Z that has a social media problem. Millennials also have a problem with social media. Me and my wife used to argue all the time because she was constantly on Facebook. Well, it's not so much anymore.
Damage to the brain and the body. Gen Z is known as the internet generation. They are society's digital natives, spending an average of 7 hours and 7 minutes a day on their phones scrolling through social media.
That is true. Let me see. I have the data to back this up from my own child. Today, my son has spent 4 hours and 3 minutes on my computer. There's another 4 hours and 14 minutes on his phone. And that they both have a lock on them. I actually put the lock in place because I looked at the app one day and he had racked up 14 hours in one day. And I was like, yeah, that's not happening again, man.
On average, Gen Z spends over 49 hours a week on their devices, which is more hours than a full-time job. With so much time in cyberspace, how do they have time for the real world? The answer is they don't.
They do. They really do. That 14-hour day that my son spent, that's not a regular thing. He spends time at school. He interacts with his friends. He doesn't have his phone on him when he's in school. I don't know what real world is, but his friends that he has in school, he also talks to online. He plays Fortnite with them. He plays all kinds of things with them. So like saying that there is no time for real world social interaction is just, it's incorrect. I met my wife online. We've been together for 18 years. Online is not necessarily not real world.
Alexis Spence was only 11 years old when she discovered Instagram. At first, Alexis signed up to find more content about Webkinz, but soon she fell into the endless content rabbit hole. She found accounts of models and fitness gurus, which made her feel self-conscious about her own look. Instagram's algorithm suggested harmful accounts for her to follow, encouraging unhealthy behavior. And being 11 years old, Alexis didn't know better.
I have lots of feelings about this. I have girls and I have my son. My son is 12. My oldest daughter is 8. Things like this have been happening forever. Social media is just the new way it's coming out. Growing up, we had magazines, lots of magazines. We had music videos promoted this like unhealthy body types, TV, Hollywood. This stuff has always been there. It's always been an issue. And it's just found a new way to be an issue. While I feel for this girl, And I don't want to blame the parents necessarily, but also, I've always been very honest with my children. I ever see videos, even Peppa Pig. Peppa Pig is horrible at fat shaming. And when I see that kind of stuff, me and my wife jump on it and say, that's not okay. And you should not comment on people's weight. It's okay if somebody's bigger. It moved from magazines and music videos and moved into just people making social media videos and YouTube videos and Instagram videos and TikTok videos about this kind of stuff. And if you fall down that rabbit hole, you fall down that rabbit hole. Again, though, this has nothing to do with Gen Z. This is just an issue. I dated people that had horrible body issues and got it from various media outlets. Some people are just more susceptible to that. And you need to know, one, you need to know yourself and know that you're more susceptible to it, but she's only 11. Her parents need to know her better and know that she could be possibly more susceptible and to monitor. Anyways.
She was on social media at 11 years old without our knowledge, without our consent. And from there, she very slowly withdrew, and piece by piece, we began to lose our daughter.
I dropped my slammer. I'm actually very confused. How can your daughter be so entrenched in social media 100% without your knowledge? What was she doing to get around you knowing? She's either really smart or her parents are really bad at paying attention to her. It's one of the two.
And by 12, Alexis was completely addicted to her phone. She started drawing artwork of herself crying with her phone nearby, along with self-depreciating comments written on the paper. This was when her parents realized just how bad social media was for their daughter.
That's really sad. I hope that this girl has improved and gotten better, because I know that people with body issues tend to struggle for a very long time. I tried very hard to help my ex-girlfriend when we were together. I tried to make her feel like she wasn't unattractive, and nothing I said would get through to her. And it's really hard. It really sucks once you start down that rabbit hole.
They tried parental controls on her phone to block her from going on Instagram. They even tried taking her phone away, but that only angered Alexis, causing her to punch a hole in the wall.
So what? When my kids get punishments, they also get angry. They don't punch holes in the wall. They also get angry. They'll stomp, they'll scream, they'll yell. I'm like, I just tell them I don't care. Like, you did something wrong and you need to deal with the punishment. Like, so what if you're angry? I'm sorry that you're angry, but oh well, get over it and don't do it again. If she cannot handle the phone, take away the phone. She's only 11. Take it away. Talk to her. Help her with more positive body imagery. Help her feel more positive about her body. It's a weird topic to like approach with your children, but like, it's clearly necessary. And if you can't do it, then find somebody that can. Just because she gets angry and punches a hole in the wall, tell her to get the fuck over it and make her repair the hole in the wall. I would stop immediately, be like, did you just punch a hole in the wall? Okay, I'm going to go to Home Depot. I'm going to get some spackle and you're going to fix the hole in the wall now, because that was not appropriate.
Whatever her parents did, it didn't matter. Alexis had an addiction. She secretly went online at night, creating alternate emails and accounts, hiding them from her parents. She even downloaded an app that disguised Instagram as a calculator, so her parents didn't know she still had it on her phone.
So they took her phone away. She got angry. She punched a hole in the wall. And they just gave it back and were like, okay, here you go, but no social media. And she's like, okay, mom and dad, and then found a way around it. I find this all just to be kind of an excuse for not being able to control your child. Yeah, I tried that, but she got angry. And yeah, I tried that. I told her not to go on, but she just found ways around it. Put in safety measures. Hold your kid accountable.
On her phone. By the age of 15, the negative influences of social media had become so detrimental to her health that she was hospitalized. She spent 2 weeks in a ward without access to her phone or the internet.
That is so sad. I feel really bad for this girl. There are some people that really just can't handle stuff like this, like the internet. It is absolutely not a Gen Z specific thing, because people in my generation had these issues too. I know lots of people that ended up in institutions and psych wards because of body issues. Or, there's also like some people's parents were really negative about people gaining weight, and that also can lead to disorders. That doesn't seem like her issue. Her issue more seems like just consuming media in general. I think that this issue has definitely gotten better. There are definitely a lot more channels that are body positive and a lot more TV shows on the actual TV. I haven't watched an actual TV in a really long time, but are more inclusive of different body types. But yeah, this is really sad, and I feel really sad for this girl.
And that's when her parents believed they found the root of Alexis's problems, social media. So I believe that Alexis's parents are also to blame. But there's no doubt that social media has added a completely new element to parenting that was never there before.
It wasn't never there before. It's just a different outlet. Like, it was still there. Like the magazines, the TV, it's...
According to a survey by McKinsey and Company, 27% of Gen Zers said that social media has negatively impacted their mental health. Social media stimulates our brain like substances would. But the problem is, this feeling becomes your norm. Since Gen Zers are so used to this constant stream of dopamine, when they don't have it, everything feels wrong, as if they're having a come down.
42% of Gen Zers said they could not stop using social media if they tried. The most common words they associate with platforms like Facebook and Instagram: depressed, angry, and alone.
Come on, really? I've talked to my son about this, and I see the way him and his friends interact, and they feel like very, very normal preteens to me. They all break rules, they all have fun together, they all do all of the normal things that me and my friends would have done. I don't know, man.
So obviously scrolling on your screens makes you feel worse, right? For me, after an hour of doing this, just like laying down, I feel empty. I feel sad. So
what? After an hour of scrolling and watching videos and stuff, I don't feel empty and sad. I think the main issue is the content that you're consuming. If you're consuming content that feels empty and sad, then you probably, yeah. And like I do consume content sometimes that is kind of just pointless and dumb and useless and, you know, whatever. But I also steer myself away from that content too. I mean, and maybe that's why my son doesn't seem to have these same issues, is he normally goes for content that makes him laugh or content that like he can learn something from. Like he will go towards Marvel, so he'll watch a lot of like Marvel stuff. I'm kind of the same way. Like I'll just watch things that I'm really interested in. There's times where I'll find myself scrolling and be like, wow, that was a lot of really useless content, but force myself to, you know, more positive things, positive or something that teaches me something. I do watch a lot of video game stuff though, because I like video games, but my content tends to lean towards science, learning. I do watch a lot of makers. I like the creativity. I'm not sold on the idea that social media is absolutely to blame for this, for these people feeling, you know, depressed or alone. I think if you use social media in a way that is detrimental, then it will be detrimental. Algorithms are there to push content that people watch and will watch to the end. So if you watch that kind of content, then it's going to serve that kind of content to you. I know this is kind of a new issue that millennials and Gen Z are learning to deal with. Teaching your kids what is good content and what is bad content. Like I won't let my youngest child watch CoComelon. CoComelon is really bad. It is bad for development. It's just bad all around. My kid gets very zoned out when she watches CoComelon. This isn't like a my kid specific thing. Other people have noticed this about CoComelon. There's been videos done on CoComelon about how CoComelon is just really, really bad for children. It's just awful. So, you know, we told her that she can't watch CoComelon anymore. We explained to her why she can't watch CoComelon. We didn't just go, you can't watch CoComelon because CoComelon's bad. And we said so. Like we explained to her, hey, when you watch CoComelon, you don't listen, and like your behavior gets worse. So we're gonna not watch CoComelon anymore. There's lots of other stuff you can watch, but not Cocomelon. I find other things that she watches very questionable, but it's not outwardly questionable. It's more like subtext of these videos, and I think I'll do a video on those later. But I think we got to get better at teaching from a young age what they should and shouldn't consume media-wise. Okay.
Ignoring consequences. Many influencers on social media are obsessed with getting likes and follows that they act without thinking about the consequences. Some of these actions are ridiculous while others are straight up dangerous. Kick streamer Neon is no stranger to controversy. At just 19, he has built a huge social media following by doing crazy things in public. Although other streamers get in trouble too, Neon is different because he doesn't seem to care about the consequences.
Yeah, this isn't new to Gen Z. This has been going on forever. Millennials, we had Jackass, and we also had skateboarders. Skateboarders have been doing shit that like people just don't care about. Faking your own death, that's been a thing for a long time too. People have faked their own deaths for many reasons, and some of them were for entertainment purposes. Whose entertainment? I guess their own.
2 teenagers in Florida got into trouble with the law after participating in a social media trend called the Door Kick Challenge.
Teens actually recording themselves kicking people's doors, and authorities are worried they could be putting themselves in some real danger.
Over 2 weeks, the boys were caught on multiple surveillance videos kicking in the doors of 4 homes.
Nobody's kicking in doors. Look, that's kicking in a door. Just so you know. This is not. This is just kicking a door and running away. This is Ding Dong Ditch, Foot Edition. There's a lot of millennial YouTubers who are incredibly problematic. I think maybe in a little bit different way. Like, there are still millennial YouTubers that will do shit like this. I see videos all the time of people who are definitely millennials that are being complete and total dicks in public. There's also a lot of millennial YouTubers that are problematic in ways that I would say are worse than this. Colleen Bellinger, she's pretty fucking terrible. And I would say arguably in a worse way than running around kicking doors. She was grooming children, basically. That's way worse. There's just like millennials who got onto the internet pretty early and got really famous pretty early, and seem to be a little either toxic or just downright disgusting. And that's my generation. So, you know, if the worst that is happening is these Gen Z kids are running around with their friends, you know, even though they don't get any social interaction in the real world, but they're out with their friends kicking in doors, I think that that's way better than the millennials that are trying to seduce children. So.
Homes at night and early in the morning. The kicks were so hard they made some doors fly open. After the teen,
none of those videos showed doors flying open. Not a single one. The kid had like the softest kick ever. Door didn't fly open. Door didn't fly open. Door didn't fly open. It's Ding Dong Ditch Foot Edition. I don't know what to tell you, man.
Were arrested. They told cops they weren't trying to break into people's homes. They were just doing it for, you guessed it, social media.
And we used to do it just because we were bored. So it's not any different. I played Ding Dong Ditch when I was a kid. And if someone said, hey, go kick that door and run away, I probably would have done it too. It's just teenagers being teenagers.
That explanation didn't help their case. The boys were charged with multiple counts of burglary. One man,
that's bullshit. That's
who
fucking
had
bullshit.
his door kicked in, spoke to local news about how risky the boys' act.
Kicked in or just kicked? You keep saying kicked in, but I haven't seen one video of a door getting kicked in.
The boys' actions were.
He definitely didn't think about, you know, there's definitely reactions to actions, and he didn't think about what could have happened. You know, it could have just that quickly gone that bad.
But again, all for clicks and views, right? The obsession with social media not only leads to reckless behavior, but also distorts our perception of reality. We're constantly bombarded with...
Does it though? I've been on the internet for 24 years. Does that sound right? It was about 12, 13 when I got my first... Yeah. I've been on the internet for about 24 years now, and I don't feel like it's distorted my perception of reality at all. And it's not like stuff has gotten worse than when I first got on the internet. Like, being at the beginning of the internet, the amount of fucked up shit millennials have seen. I've seen people hung, like real videos of people being hung. I've seen people decapitated, like actual videos that ISIS uploaded to YouTube decapitating people. I've seen people step on animals and like to kill animals. I've seen 2 Girls, 1 Cup. Don't look it up. It's awful. I've seen all kinds of absolutely terrible shit online. Like, and those are just the things I can think of. I probably blocked out some of it because it was terrible. Like, I don't feel like my perception of reality has changed at all. I just feel like, obviously, seeing those things, I've seen people shot and killed on there too, and obviously those things are very traumatic. But I also just don't think that it's really as big a thing. These kids going out and kicking indoors. They're not kicking indoors, but I just don't see that as a problematic thing that is special to Gen Z. Ding Dong Ditch, that was my generation's version of that. I also drove around with my friends throwing firecrackers out the window at people. So, like, what's worse? My generation and generations before my generation used to drive around smashing in mailboxes. And that's a fucking federal offense. Don't do that shit. We all have our, like, bad tendencies when we're teenagers. And I think that Gen Z is just now hitting their teenage years, and they're being teenagers. Teenagers do this kind of shit. I think that when they become adults, they'll grow out of it, just like millennials kind of did. I didn't grow out of it. I'm still an asshole. I still do stupid shit. I mean, I don't, and I do. It depends on the stupid shit. If my kid came home and was like, I'm hiding from the police because I kicked the door in, I'm going to be like, what do you mean by door in? Did the door open? No? Then you didn't fucking kick a door in. I'm not going to be like, oh shit, I got to go get you counseling because you've been on the internet.
The fake and filtered generation.
Yeah.
With green screens, filters, and some editing magic, you can pretend to have the dream life that people aspire to have. But what's the cost of blurring the lines of reality and fantasy? In 2019, the beauty industry generated around $532 billion.
They've always been a big industry.
This shows just how much society cares about physical appearance. Being beautiful can be expensive. Makeup, haircuts, plastic surgery.
It can also be cheap. It just depends on what you're doing. It's actually been proven that you're just buying the brand. You can buy whatever off of the shelf, and it's the same exact thing. So that has nothing to do with this video. I just wanted to point that out. It's the same in every industry. It's called white labeling. So if you buy off-brand cornflakes, they're probably the exact same cornflakes as cornflakes. One is cheap, and one has a brand attached to it. The same goes for the beauty industry. Anyways.
All of the costs can add up. This is why some people have turned to cheaper, more accessible alternatives to improving their look. Alternatives that can be found inside your phone. Ever since digital photos were popularized in the 90s, editing photos has become the norm. But it's since evolved past fixing lighting and removing pimples. Now you can change your entire face.
As somebody who's been editing photos for a very, very long time, that has been a thing in this industry for an incredibly long time. It is not new. The filter thing is new because now it's like real-time editing instead of hiring somebody like me to go in and make you look like this. Like, I could do this. I could turn that person into that person easily. But no. And this is not new to digital photography either. If you look at old magazines, they also did it in old magazines. It was hard to do it with film as opposed to digital. Like you would have to go in and paint things out with an actual paintbrush, cover certain spots and do a bunch of stuff to get the same look. But it still happened in film photography. So it's not new. It is more accessible, but it's not new. Just pointing that out.
In seconds.
我说我本人和视频长得不一样，我笑了。
That is different. That is new.
都开到底了。
In a survey by the City University of London, it was found that over 90% of young people in the US, UK, and France use filters.
Okay, that is very vague. There's more information that I need. 90% said that they used filters or currently are actively using filters to edit their appearance. I have used filters. My wife has used filters. My kids have used filters. We don't actively use them constantly to change our appearance. Use and using, two different things. I really need to know like full context, because you can find a study that can say anything, and the wording really matters. Like wording can go from making it sound like people are using filters constantly to just catfish the entire internet all the time. Used filters, like past tense, as in like they wanted to use a filter for this one thing, whatever the case may be, right? And then there's like a whole like spectrum in there. Like I can use a filter that just kind of smooths my skin a little bit, right? Or I can use a filter that completely changes my face. Those are very different things. If you're catfishing people by using filters that completely change your entire appearance, like that's obviously an extreme case. I feel like people lay somewhere in the middle. Maybe they get up and instead of putting makeup on to take a photo, they just use a quick filter to just like kind of smooth out their skin a little bit, and instead of doing a whole bunch of work. I don't find an issue with that. If it's somewhere in the middle and they're not going to the extreme and trying to catfish people, then there is no harm in that.
Meta, the company behind Instagram and Facebook, have also
Like that filter. That's not even really doing anything to her at all. That's just putting butterflies all around her. You know?
reported that over 600 million users have used filters. But with so many people relying on filters nowadays, how do we know?
Also vague. I use filters with my daughter all the time to change our appearance. In other words, like make us look like the Grinch, or like make our nose very long, because it's funny, and she's 5. She enjoys it. She likes to turn herself into a dog or a cat. So just saying this many people use filters. Yeah, sometimes I use filters with my daughter because it's funny.
What's real and what's not?
And it's not distorting my child's sense of reality either. She knows that a filter is a filter.
The latest viral TikTok filter is causing a stir.
Also, that's not that extreme.
It has users divided over the way it instantly changes how they look.
You can get that same look with makeup, right? It's just lazy makeup. I really don't find an issue with this. Like if somebody wants to put a filter on that makes it look like they spent all day putting makeup on, then let them do that. That's not